What is up, everyone? I'm Skratch. Welcome to another King Arthur Legends Rise video. Today we are not alone on the channel, guys. You know what? I've realized I haven't been really doing many collabs on this channel. So today I decided to bring my buddy Mr. Sneaky on the channel. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
How you doing, man? Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's honestly a pleasure because obviously I've just started playing this game myself, so it's good to get some info and learn and be a part of the community for once, right? In the King Arthur Legend Rise journey at the moment.
Absolutely, absolutely. Glad to have you on board as well with the game, man. So in today's video, guys, what we are going to do, we're going to talk about the top 10 best rares in King Arthur Legends Rise. Now, since he is early in-game, he doesn't have full experience to know pretty much everything in the game. So I'm going to try to guide him a little bit as well and kind of like pinpoint what are the best rare units to invest in, why you should invest in those rare units, where you can use them, etc. Give you a couple of tips on how you should build all of these heroes. As you guys can probably already know, we don't have a gazillion heroes in the game, right? So rare units are still very, very powerful, especially some of them that are literally made for very specific content, and you don't really have better options. So trust me when I'm telling you, investing in rare units is much better than jumping straight on legendaries. That's, of course, if you're not a mega kraken. The cost of investing in rares is basically half of the cost of investing in legendaries. So not only that you're going to be able to basically max 2 rares instead of 1 legendary, but hey, you're going to basically progress your account faster like this. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Plus, I do want to mention that we do have a different video on his channel, guys, where we're going to talk about other progression tips and other things like that. So if you are new to the game, make sure you guys are checking that out. I will leave the link in the pinned comment. But without further ado, let's dive straight into it. Top 10, and as usual, you know me, I'm going to make it top 11 or top 12 because I just can't help it. It's kind of like an ick of mine. You know what? Mr. Sneaky, you tell me what's one of your most favorite rares that you are currently using at the moment.
Well, for me, number one, I've always been using at the start has been K. Like K has been insane, especially when you start to realize like the equipment side too, giving her the crit. She just does absurd amounts of damage and like lets me get through a lot of even the main story early game, which gets me into the dungeons that I actually need to push those rare heroes that you've been talking about. And the fact that like you start her with, I think it's one of the best relics, the green relic,
Yeah,
and I've only got access to the blue one at the moment, so I don't have the experience at the moment with the fire either, but she does absurd damage, and I absolutely love the fact that like you can get the attack speed increase on her, the crit rate increase too, should I say, on 2 turns, and then you get the damage increase, I think, on Chivalry 3. Yeah, on Chivalry 3, you get the Counter-Strike damage increase too. So that's something I've recently got myself. So I've been enjoying K, especially in a rare hero. I didn't expect her to do as much damage as she does, to be fair.
100%, bro. I agree. This was basically the first hero I've maxed in the game. And I would strongly suggest you guys as well, if you just start playing, go for it. I know you do have Rosier, which is absolutely amazing as a damage dealer. You have Cormac, which is nuts as well. But having Kai early on, it allows you to push on the most important dungeons, especially if we're talking about the Plane of Beasts, where you need a lot of multi-hits. She will definitely do all that work for you. 5 hitters on the A1. You have a quadruple hit on the A2. You have, again, a quadruple hit on the A3 as well. So you're knocking that shield down pretty quick. Now, when you are building Kai as well, a Strife set at the bottom will be kind of like mandatory. Building her with a attack set, either a crit damage, either a counter attack. The good thing about her, especially early on, is that she doesn't require to have full crit rate because she self-buffs with crit rate. So starting from 20 upwards, you're going to be fine with the crit rate, and then focus on the rest of the stats like damage, attack, hit accuracy, crit damage, etc. And that's one of the main things that makes this hero so freaking powerful. Now, I'm going to move on to the next one because she is my bae. I absolutely freaking love her, and I'm talking about Rosier, guys. So Rosier, she kind of like deals dot damage. using her in different content will be basically requiring you to swap in between two different builds. At least that's how I'm doing it. So the most powerful relic on Rosier is the Fire Relic, guys. She self-buffs as well. She does have some pretty crazy passives too. And tons of multi-hits. Triple hit around the A1. She self-buffs with the second skill. And the third skill, she has a penta hit right here. And she has the Hook of Death, which can proc. She deals so much single target damage, guys, that is absolutely mind-boggling, okay? If we're talking about running her in Burning Land, she's absolutely insane there because of the dot damage. You want to have accuracy on her when you're doing that. If we're talking about the Plane of Beasts or any other dungeon or content where you need a raw damage dealer, build her the same like you would build Kai, basically, with an attack set, with a crit rate set, because she doesn't buff her crit rate, a strife set, and she's going to absolutely demolish the enemies, guys. Okay, so I have two builds, one on Vigor, which I'm using mainly for the Burning Land, and sometimes for the raid bosses, the guild raid bosses, and I have, of course, the attack and crit rate build, which is just absolutely wrecking enemies. Amazing, amazing hero. What do you think about Rosia?
She definitely is. I was to say exactly the same thing because I've recently got her Fire Relic, right? Because when I first summoned her, I got the wind blade, and to be fair, just with the wind blade, you get bleed on all three abilities. Still, you get multi hit at least on each of them. So she does some okay damage, but when you get the fire one, like you said, it just transformed this hero. I didn't expect her to deal, so much damage, but it's when you see the bleed start, going on over time, and then next it just chunks the boss out of nowhere. Like, it really does help me, especially like push. I think it's in Gorgos, it's been helping me push. It's been helping me push in other boss raids in like the equipment side as well. She's just been nuts, especially for early game pushing. So yeah, 100% agree with Rosier being single target queen, shall we say, for King Arthur.
Absolutely, bro. I'm gonna move on to Cormac, right? You said that recently you started using him as well after you summon him. So I've been sleeping on this hero for quite a while, and that's mainly because I have Bedivere, I have the other damage dealers. So I haven't really jumped on Cormac to build him instantly, right? He is a very solid hero as well. The best relic on him is going to be the Frost relic. And that's mainly because you have this massive 8-3 AoE skill. What I like about him, though, is that he deals damage and he can heal as well, right? And having these multipliers based on damage, the damage multiplier based on attack and defense, I feel like is really, really nice because it can push his damage even more than on some of the different heroes, for example, the passive that gives you the healing and all that. I feel like I'm still going to compare them, guys. As you guys can probably notice, I have 3 more levels left on his relic, and I will compare all of the 3 damage dealers to see exactly which one is the best out of them once they're maxed and they're kind of like on equal field. But he does do insane AoE damage, so I've been using him recently quite a bit just for fun and stuff. He's absolutely freaking nuts. And when we're talking about builds, attack plus crit rate or crit damage, depending on what you have available, a strife set, and you do want to aim on having quite a good amount of crit rate on him, a good amount of attack, and some defense, because as I mentioned, his multipliers are based on attack and defense too. Super crazy hero. How much have you played with him yet?
I haven't
so far,
honestly, used him that much myself because I have recently unlocked him, but I got the wind artifact and it's like okay. That's what I'll say. It's like it's okay. It's not terrible on him, especially you get like the penta hit as well. Like a penta hit's really good for certain content. But like I will say I'm this one of the sad free to play, guys that actually got, Frost Bedivere really early on. So like I've been kind of, luxurious to have him fill the slot that Cormac with the Frost relic would have. So I haven't actually had that much experience with the Frost side of him. So he's one here I am slowly building up because I've seen your videos on him when he does honestly those massive AoE hits, which is crazy with the Frost relic on
Yeah.
his hero. So definitely one I'm going to be looking out for my account because I can't, in theory, like use him to his full potential right now compared to some of the other heroes I've got.
Sounds good, man. Definitely a hero that you guys should invest in. If you're lucky enough to get him early on as well, I would still prioritize Sky as the first 60, to be honest, just because of the multi-hits, and it's much easier to build her, so progression-wise, it's going to be better for you. But after, you can definitely invest with confidence in Cormac. Now, the next one that I have on the list, I'm not sure if you are using Accolon or you're not, but my god, one of the best heal disruption heroes in the entire game. For the Frozen Plains, guys, this hero right here is the GOAT. So if you're struggling with your Morgana to land that healing reduction, healing prohibition, or healing disruption, because every game calls it differently and is all mixed up in my head, forget about it. I used to be exactly the same. Morgan, oh no, I need 3 Vigor to use the skill. She's not using it at the right moment. She doesn't have a high chance to land it. And bang, the boss is back on full HP. Well, with Accolon, guys, you go in with a second skill. 80% chance to inflict recovery disruption. One, I'm going to max it. I'm going to have a 90% chance, a double hitter. And you have, of course, the passives, which will get the job done as well for you. Absolutely amazing hero for this particular dungeon, guys. So definitely do not sleep on Accolon. You don't necessarily need to build this hero with a lot of damage or anything like that. A Vigor set, you need to have the accuracy. If you want the hero to do a bit of damage as well, get some hit accuracy, a bit of crit rate and all that. If you're struggling with survivability, forget about the damage and just go in with a nice accuracy build, and that's about it. Very, very good hero.
Yeah, no, I agree, fully agree. I've actually been using it recently to push that exact same dungeon you've been saying because I were looking for that recovery disruption that you need in your team, right? And even if it's just one skill, it does the job. And for me, it's only a level 1 skill. I don't have, obviously, a max account. I don't have, obviously, the access to all the skills, but it's still a 60% chance of doing so. And you'd be surprised on how often you're getting it off, right? And it does help you get through that dungeon. If you don't have it, you are gonna just get wrecked. And I've felt the wrath of them, unfortunately. So I do like Accolon myself, and I wait for the equipment side of things. I will say, on my side, I've actually been using Vigor, like you've said. Vigor's actually been helping me a lot, especially if you're like a newer player, especially like free to play, and you're just trying to learn the game, because a lot of the time you need that one skill, right? And if you're using other heroes a freeze a lot, you're gonna obviously sacrifice all your action points. So having that Vigor coming in, you always generate basically 2 action points per turn. You know you're gonna get the skill off. So I really do want to throw that in there as well with 100% get some sort of Vigor on it early game, and then you can transition into something better. Like you said, the accuracy would make a very good choice when it comes to the skill landing.
Absolutely, dude. Very, very powerful one. Moving on to the next one. I'm not sure if you have been using Sarah or not. One of the best supports in the game. Very good for the Nest of Waiskalhaig. Just very good in general. Good for the Shrine of Storms. Good for a lot of content, guys. I don't have to tell you that. A lot of you guys already know how powerful Sarah is. So I have her build basically on a Vigor, a Health set, and a Immortal set. That's basically gonna give me a bit of a shield when I'm healing and all that. In terms of relics, I'll be very honest with you guys. My most favorite relic for her is the Frost relic, and that's because she has some very solid heals on each one of the skills. I like that she cleanses as well. She does have very solid passives too. The main thing what makes her so special, of course, is having the passive that will put a buff disruption and attack gauge disruption. Massive for both of the dungeons that I've just mentioned before, plus the healing that comes from every single skill. Absolutely freaking massive on this hero. Do not sleep on her. Probably, if we're thinking about it, she might be one of the best. She might be the best rare support hero in the game, and that's mainly because of all of the effects that she brings to the table. Now, I know I love Turin a lot. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like she just brings in different things that are so important for some dungeons that you just won't be able to do it without her, right? But then you bring Turin in the same team with her. Well, we'll get to Turin in a second. Are you using Sarah?
Yeah, I'm not using Sarah at the moment, but I've been looking at her because I've got her in the wind form at the moment. And when I summoned her, and you do get like the remove one debuff from all allies, which is important in certain dungeons. And like you say, I'm getting 2 healing skills with that, which ain't too bad, as well as the third one, which gives you the defense increase 1. It does go up into increasing like for 2 turns when you get it up. She is one of those heroes I thought about. I was gonna ask you about her, and it's good that you brought her up in today's video about how powerful her actual healing is. But it seems like it's all in the frost side of things. So it's good to actually learn that when it comes into it, because as you kind of mentioned, like the one healer I've been mainly using has been like Turin. So she's been helping me get through a lot of the content. So we can move on to Turin if you want to talk about Turin.
We'll get to Turin in a second as well. She's definitely a top one as well, one of my most favorite too. But before we get to that, let's talk about Clementine. So she is a sleeper for a lot of people. I feel like it. Not only that she heals guys, but she's massive in terms of manipulating the attack gauge on enemies and stuff. So very good passive. She does provide pretty good healing as well. Decreases the attack gauge. Massive, for example, on the Shrine of Storms. Massive on pretty much every content where you need to control the attack gauge, including Forbidden Dungeon, including Campaign, where you're struggling and you need to control those enemies and constantly keep them at bay. Good for Arena as well as an option as well. So I've been running her at the moment with the Storm Relic. Truth be told, I'm not using her very, very often. As you guys can probably notice, having the Frost Relic is even stronger because you do have a chance to reduce more attack gauge, and that's of course from a single enemy rather than having it with a Storm one only 25% chance, but it is every attack, but it's a lower chance overall, so it's kind of like evening out, very solid hero as well, and you guys should 100% do not sleep on her. The main reason why I'm not using her much is because I have Gillian. So she already brings attack gauge manipulation, but she is a very, very strong hero, Gillian. And you want to build her, once again, you do need effect accuracy on her, and you want to build her with HP, a vigor set, a health set, that's actually pretty helpful because she does provide quite a good amount of healing as well,
Yeah, it sounds good. I'm gonna be honest. I don't have her. I don't,
You don't have her
actually
yet, okay.
have Clementine yet. No, she's one of the heroes in the rare slots I'm still waiting on unlocking for those reasons, because that attack gauge reduction is so vital, which I'm starting to realize, especially as a new player. Like if you come into King Arthur, you don't actually realize like how powerful it is, even against certain bosses. Just keep pushing back, or in PvP, pushing back that attack gauge so you can get that extra rotation of skills off, and it does change if you're passing or not, right? So I
Yep.
absolutely am so sad that I don't have Clementine on my account yet.
Now, I know we've been talking about a different one that you have and you are using, and that is Anguish. Anguish, absolutely amazing for the Burning Land. Great for some specific content. I think, if I remember it correctly, in some of the adventures, you need to use Anguish. Very good as well for raid bosses when you go to higher levels and dot damage is actually going to do god tier damage. So basically, Anguish, I think, in my opinion, the best relic for him is the Frost one, I would say. You have a 5-hitter, pretty good chance to land. Of course, the chill on the enemy. The A1 as well has a chance to inflict chill. When you're building him, I think a vigor set plus high effect accuracy is basically what matters the most. I have him on a vigor and a health just to make sure he survives in the Burning Land. So I don't have necessarily the craziest stats on him. How are you building your Anguish, and how are you using him? What exactly,
So I'm doing the same. I've got him on a vigor with attack on him, because the way I'm kind of using him is a lot on the A3 when I need to like punch through honestly the damage once like they're inflicted with a chill.
Mm,
But at the same time, like if you in certain combinations, like with teams, if you do have that dot, like stealing the buffs that the bosses have or the enemies you're going against as well is super powerful because it could again do a tempo swing in your favor. But mainly when I'm using them, to be fair, I'm only using like the A3, A1. The A2 seems like a very niche. It comes up from time to time when I'm going to actually use it, but I'm mainly using in those two areas. But it also combos with like I think one of the other good supports, which we will probably talk about later on, which is Isolade, which is really cool because you get that co-op attack feature too
yeah.
with it, which doesn't seem like much, but it does add up damage over time, especially if like you're a free-to-play player playing a little bit casual like I am. It's nice to have that extra damage you need in certain steps. So that's where I've been using my anguish at the moment. It's been mainly in my obviously Frost team because it's really good in the Frost team. But yeah, that's where I've been using him.
Absolutely, sounds pretty good. He's a nice hero. But let's move on to your favorite one, right? Because you've been talking about Turin. So Turin,
Yeah.
absolutely amazing hero, guys. If we're talking about just buffs, healing, the goat, like she's just so freaking good. In some cases, better than legendaries. To be honest with you guys, the passives are pretty helpful as well. She can change the weather to night and rain, then give you buffs. If you have Ain on the same team with her as well, they're both going to go crazy. When attacking while the weather is night, gains healing elixir for 1 turn. Now, when we are talking about relics with her, to be honest, I feel like she's very flexible. So you have the Storm Relic, which is nice. You're getting buffs, you're getting healing. You have the Frost one, which once again is really powerful too. I'm not really using the Fire Relic, to be honest with you guys, which honestly is not bad either. Evasion rate, you're getting some recovery over time if the weather is night. Then the A3 skill is just what doesn't make me want to use the Fire Relic, because you're not really getting tons of value out of her. I don't care about her dealing damage or anything like that. What I care about her is to support the team. So I'm always switching in between the Storm and the Frost Relic based on what content I'm doing and what bosses I'm attacking. And when we are talking about builds, once again, Vigor set plus health, and I need to give her an Immortal set. So that's something that I haven't done yet because I've just recently actually took her to 6 stars. But I'll be looking to basically get something like this, an HP banner on her from the Immortal, preferably. I'm just looking to see if I have some attack speed on them just to push it a bit higher. Seems like I don't. So actually this one has attack speed right here. So probably I'm going to go with this one. And then I'll just have to basically change this belt to recovery as well if I have one available. And seems like I do. Maybe I actually have two. Perfect. I have attack speed on that as well. So making the builds as well to gain that extra set is massive. She's going to gain that shield, keeping her alive, which is really helpful too.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
how I would build her.
Definitely
How do
agree.
you have her build, for example?
For my early game stuff, because it sounds weird, but she was like my main, obviously, and only big healer in the early game. Like I had her on the vigor and like a defense set because I didn't really have anything good to craft yet for her for the extra like 2 piece because I'm all I care about when I'm using Durin, to be honest, is if I can use a A3 or a A2, like, and I need that up like, all the time, like, and it surprised me at how good the AoE buffs are because I use them mainly in the wind form over the frost form for especially the early parts of the content, especially when you're switching as well, like you said, the weather from day to night, and you combo it with your damage dealers. But yeah, I've been using the mainly like that because with the vigor set, and you even if you're not the smartest of players, let's say, or you're the pros, as long as you literally can vigor and either A2, A3 in that order, like you're good to go. Because the early game you get the A2 on obviously your main damage dealers, the effect accuracy increase, defense increase, which is great for all of your damage dealers to obviously hit their skills, maintain obviously and them in combat. But then afterwards, as long as you keep A3 in, you're keeping them up, and that's what I love about her, because I don't have to worry about certain heroes, especially certain healers, which are really good at healing, but they're really good at, like, I would call it like spot healing, like
Mm,
single target healing,
yep.
compared to over like AoE healing, which is really needed in the right dungeon. So that's where I've been loving Turin, and I've never looked back. Like, she's almost like honestly, like, second hero I'm level 60 in, because I just need this support in every team, it feels like.
Yeah, I definitely understand it. She's just so freaking good in pretty much all of the content. Like, I'm using her as well. I have Gillian. I have most of the legendaries. I'm only missing like a couple, and she's still part of like 3 or 4 teams of on my account.
Yeah,
Now
definitely.
let's move on to the next one, and that is Isolde. Seems like I'm actually missing a piece of gear on her. Man, I don't know about you, but I'm gonna quickly say from my personal experience, it's just so hard to get so many good vigor pieces because you need to build so many units on vigor pieces. That is crazy. So
Yeah.
basically, I'm constantly moving some of the gear back and forward. I know I have effect accuracy on her. I'm just trying to find it. Seems like I gave it to one of the other heroes. But either way, I'm running effect accuracy on Isolde, guys. She's just missing it at the moment, so I'm probably gonna look to forge a bit of more gear. Vigor set once again, health set, immortal set if you're gonna have her at 6 stars. And in terms of relics, this again is pretty different for her. I do like a lot the Storm Relic because she has 2 healing skills, right? So
Yeah.
both of them heal pretty good. You're getting the remove dot damage. But to be honest with you, if you're looking to land some of the dot damage with her as well, either one will work. Either you're going with a fire, either you're going with the frost. I feel like out of all of the rare heroes, she might have one of the best relic packages in the game because all 3 of them are really, really good, guys, basically, right? That's what I was trying to kind of like tell you. But Isolde is super solid, good passives, removing the dot damage, putting dot damage and healing too.
Yeah, definitely. Like, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I've recently only got her. I've got her on the Frost package at the minute.
Mm-hmm.
But even just with the Frost package, she just helps you get through content, especially when you're, like we said earlier, like talking about Anguish, right? You can use Isolde to get the chill on too, so it kind of frees up Anguish from doing it, so you can always kind of hopefully get the freeze off. And when you're not doing that, like the AoE heal, again, really good AoE heal, recover it over time. For, like, even for me, it's like 1 extra turn. But looking at other relics, I really want the fire one. Literally, the fire one is the one which I'm looking at, because I can combo this with so many different heroes, like care about dot damage and get multipliers or amplifiers, as I call them, with, dot or burn, as we want to call it, on the target. So really like Isolde. I'm happy I've got her myself, and I'm waiting to see what other really good combos I can go with in the future, because I know they suggest different heroes that I personally don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think he's called Iraret, like the like
Yeah,
legendary
I read
guy.
it.
Yeah,
I've
like, I
read,
don't
I've
have
read.
any of
Yeah,
those
I don't
guys
have
yet,
her. I don't
so
have her either. Yeah, so hopefully soon.
so at least I don't feel that bad then. As long as Scratch doesn't have it and I don't have it, we feel good at the same page, right?
Mm.
So yeah, I'm interested to see what she can do in the late game with those type of heroes too. So it's going to be interesting.
Absolutely, bro. So I feel like this was number 9. We're going to move on to number 10, guys. And then we have a couple that I'm quickly going to give them a mention to. So, in my opinion, I feel like Bodwin is super, super important and he does deserve to be in top 10. And that's mainly if you don't have Gawain to basically take her into the Master of the Apocalypse, or if we're talking about campaign stages on 10-7 on the boss, right? Bodwin is going to be your best ally versus that dungeon if you don't have the legendary hero. So I feel like he deserves the spot. Like, he has the passives where he gives the abnormal status immunity. That's what makes the hero so freaking awesome. And when we're talking about relics, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't necessarily think that any of his relics are necessarily better than the other, because they kind of like do the same thing more or less. They're just kind of like changing elemental affinity and very small changes. But I feel like if you're using him for the right purpose, he's going to be very, very helpful. That dungeon, that boss, you need to farm it most likely every day. You're gonna kind of like go in between Master of the Apocalypse, and the RNG of not having one of the heroes in the right team, like in your team, like Badwin or Gawain, is just crazy because you're gonna have to retry the fight that it is gonna make you pull out your hair. So make sure you guys use him. I already released a guide on him not a very long time ago. Absolutely amazing rare hero, and you should use him. Now, in terms of equipment, once again, is going to be a vigor set, just to kind of like charge the vigor on your other characters. I only really try to use the A1 skill and the A2 skill on him. He does have the sheer damage, which is kind of like the equivalent of an ally protection. But to be honest, I'm not really putting much value on that. I'm really valuing the passives on this hero. Have you used him yet? Or do you
I used him a little. I have him. I was gonna use him, but it was one of them where I didn't know how well I'm gonna like him because he looks like obviously a great tank, and I didn't know if it was to do with his passive and his A3 running together because it was just like I'm obviously not getting any of the status effects or immune effects. I'm also granting all allies share damage, especially for like me as like a free-to-play player, seems really important because it does mean like he's gonna be able to potentially soak up a little bit extra, allowing like the damage dealers or your healer to like survive that little extra turn to actually heal everyone back up, which you need, because you might not have the best equipment in the game or the best chances of rolling the attributes again on them, for example. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna see what maybe one of your major guides on Baldwin to see where I'm really gonna take a big effect of him. So it's interesting for my account that.
Gotcha. So this would be top 10 best rares in King Arthur Legends Rise. Now, I do want to give a couple of shoutouts, guys. I think they're amazing heroes as well. So we have Ardoin, which is amazing. She can polymorph. She can give you some healing. Overall, a pretty solid one. But to be honest, I haven't really found much of a use for her to be kind of like in the situation where she's going to replace any of the other 10 rare heroes that I've just mentioned. And it's the same situation for Frederick. He does provide some solid healing now because recently he got a bit of a buff, right? Like he has I can't even remember which one of the relics on him is just doing massive heal. I think it's the Storm one, if I'm not mistaken. Or it's not the Storm. It might be the Fire one then. No, it's not the Fire one either. Either way.
Frost one, I think it is.
I think the Frost one. So the Frost one gives you 11% of his max HP. And then you have the A2 skill. Actually, no, bro. I think it's the Storm one. No, it's not, bro. What the heck?
I'm sure it's the Frost one.
I think it's the Frost one too. Yeah, I think I'm just getting confused here. As I mentioned, I'm not really using him. And once again, it's the same story. I don't see him replacing any of the other 10 rare heroes that I've just named before. He does bring in some healing. The passive is probably what I've been looking for because it heals by a huge amount of his own HP, right? But other than that, he's not really providing that much. So that's why I feel like he's not in top 10. But I know some of you guys are really liking the hero, to be honest. So once you max every skill and the chivalry, that's what I've been doing, okay? So first, I looked at him in the Codex, where he's maxed, and he shows you a massive healing. And now, I'm not in the Codex, I'm actually on my roster, and I don't have him maxed. And that huge amount of healing, 20+% of his max HP, is nowhere to be found. So that's what I was looking for, guys, in case if you were wondering what I was doing. Because if I'm going at the Codex, right here, he's gonna have like a big, massive healing, which will be like, okay, that's really solid. And I think it might be on the Frost Relic, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 21% of his max HP. That's what I was looking. So the Frost Relic is the one. But
yeah, it's crazy.
You were right.
And I thought so. It's good as well because it's like he does multi-hits, and it's like, he can kind of fulfill that healing slot if you don't have a healer, like which you mentioned. As soon as you get one of the other healers, you'll realize like they're just better in like most categories because they're not just doing
One thing, yeah.
one thing, which is what Frederick's doing. And it's sad because like out of all the rare heroes we've talked about, Frederick is honestly the one rare hero where I've been fortunate enough to be, you know, lucky to have all of his relics. I actually have the ability to switch between each one now, which is really nice. Again, I don't use him myself, so I'd like to maybe hear your community in the comments, you know, suggest, okay, you could use him with this combination of heroes. It'd be really good to maybe use him on my channel and put him in through the paces, for example.
Absolutely, guys. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And as usual, appreciate all of you guys watching. Mr. Sneaky, appreciate you coming on the channel, bro, taking your time to basically dive in here with me and talk about the top 10 best rare heroes. Make sure you guys check out his channel. We'll be dropping a different video in there, guys. And yeah, if you want to let us know what you're up to with the channel and stuff.
Yeah, man. So at the moment, like my channel, I'm kind of diving into a bit more variety gaming. So yeah, I'm starting to play King Arthur's Legend Rise. I've already done like one video on him. I'm gonna try and bring out some interesting combinations. That's what I'm gonna think of. Interesting combination teams for King Arthur and all these different boss fights that everyone keeps trying to play off. So that's gonna be my whole goal. So I can't wait to put them out there for you guys.
Awesome, awesome. As usual, guys, much love. Appreciate all of you guys watching, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace.